There's a management saying that leadership is the cause and everything else is the effect. I have experienced this in my personal life and in my business life. So when Harriet and I thought about improving the Jewish community, we thought about leadership. The secret of our 3,000-year survival of the Jewish people has been the adherence to the covenant of Abraham and in the focus on being responsible for each other. Throughout every generation, Jewish leaders have led this and promoted this. Today, we're celebrating the graduation of 15 such leaders. They were selected from our entire community, and they finish an intensive course of study of leadership traits, leadership capabilities, of our history and our heritage, and they experience an intensive immersion in Israel. We are really thrilled to have had the opportunity to be with them, to get to know them, and to watch their individual and collective excellence. This group joins a group of cohorts, 16 of them, from our 2016 class, and together we believe that they will make a major impact in our community. We really are looking forward to seeing great things from them. One of the organizations which will benefit from their leadership is our Jewish Federation. We want to build our federation into the most prominent organization for philanthropic support in our community and also in Jewish communities around the world. We believe that this group of leaders will go a long way in making that happen, and we are really delighted to introduce them all to you today.
This is the culmination of an approximately one-year process from your selection to the day of graduation as Leadership Fellows. I know that George and I are proud of you and hope to be even more proud of you as you grow and become leaders in our community. I have to tell you that it has been very gratifying for us to see you develop friendships, particularly during our trip to Israel. We watched you become an amazing kahila, cohort group, who watched out for each other and learned to respect one another. These are important aspects of leadership. So congratulations, and let's see you move on to do meaningful things in the Jewish community. We love and respect you all.
Hello, my name is Rachel Mehta.
My name is Karen Shinsky.
I'm John Sandler.
It's Michelle Edgar.
Hi, I'm Elise Wolf.
My name is Stacy Friedlander.
Debbie Huffman.
My name is Jackie Skoll.
I'm Steve Singer.
Hi, my name is Sherry Cohen.
I'm Hadass Cohen.
I'm Jed Weinstein.
My name is Ryan Mazel.
Kim Muller.
And I joined the Blank Leadership Program so that I could grow as a leader and do more impactful work than I had been doing previously in my synagogue volunteer roles.
I joined the program because I thought it was really a unique and wonderful opportunity for me to connect with other young Jewish leaders who are also trying to figure out ways to give back to the Jewish community and ways to be impactful in our day-to-day Jewish life.
I joined the Blank Leadership Development Program because it seemed like a wonderful opportunity to learn and expand upon leadership skills. I have had leadership development training, but this program offered something different. It offered me the opportunity to learn about being a leader for the Jewish community and to learn from others and revisit issues and topics about my heritage and Judaism that had long been forgotten from years of study as a child.
It was such an honor, and I felt very fortunate to be nominated and then chosen. I thought it was an opportunity for me to learn how to be a leader and learn how to do a lot of the things I've been asked to do and actually have some education and some information behind what I was able to do.
I wanted to be a part of the Blank Leadership Fellows program because I'm very interested in getting more involved with the Jewish community. The question for me has always been, in what way? At my synagogue, beyond my synagogue? I was just not sure, and I was really hopeful that this would be an opportunity to let me see just the very many ways in which I would be able to ultimately get involved.
I joined the Blank Leadership Program because I wanted to grow my circle of Jewish friends and relationships. And really, I wanted to grow in my leadership role in the community.
It was an opportunity that I was so thrilled to be nominated for, and there was just no way I could turn it down when I was given the opportunity to join. And of course, the trip to Israel was sort of the cake on top.
You can talk about Israel and you can look at the history, but until you're there and speaking to Israelis, whether they be Jewish Israelis or Arab Israelis or any other Israeli group, you really can't get a full picture for what it's like over there and what's important to the people there and how they interact.
I think the biggest challenge facing the U.S. Jewish community today is that we don't feel connected enough to Israel. It really is our homeland, and I think the differences among ourselves in the United States get in the way of that. The labeling, the misunderstanding. I think if we all use Israel as our touch point, really from there we can develop more of a relationship with one another and realize we have more in common than we don't.
Yeah, my view of Israel did change. I was really surprised at the technological advances that Israel had to offer and what they had to offer in the tech world and how they are on the cutting edge of all the new technology that's out there today. The beauty, the cultural aspects, and that's besides the history and everything that Israel can also offers the rest of the world and gives back.
I think what happens is when you're there, you realize just how diverse the Jewish people are. And I think that diversity is absolutely incredible.
This was my first trip to Israel. Anything I knew about Israel before was simply from a textbook, from a newspaper, from social media. It really opened my eyes to be able to see what was real and what isn't. A lot of times we see things differently when we can experience them. Experiencing Israel opened my eyes to being able to see how people interacted with each other, the different religions, the different cultures, the history of the land. Everything was there right in front of my eyes with no interpretation other than my own.
The culture in Israel is based around us, around our community and who we are. The days off for Friday and Saturday, going to services on Shabbat is a big part of of what happens there. The fact that the ritual hand washing is available at every restaurant that you go to.
I felt very much like I belonged there. I felt welcomed, and every stranger I met was kind and friendly. So Israel, for me, has gone from being an abstract concept to a place I could call home.
It's the place where all religions began. And, once you go to Israel, you definitely feel a connection, not only to Israel, but you feel a connection to your roots, to your history. You feel a connection to the Jewish community.
So I'd been to Israel prior to this trip on 2 different occasions, but this experience exposed me to aspects of Israel that I don't think I would have ever have seen or experienced before.
We saw so many awesome, inspiring, thought-provoking organizations, communities. As an educator, I was so excited to see the youth village, the international school, so many things revolving around children, and they were completely inspirational, and I was so fortunate to be able to bring some of their ideas and their work back, to my own professional practice.
What impacted me the most was being exposed to the different organizations in Israel. One was Save a Child's Heart and Givat Chaviva. Both of these organizations really focused on the younger generation. Meeting the children at the Save a Child's Heart Hospital was an incredible, heartwarming experience, showing the good that Israel is doing for children all over the world, whether they're Jewish or not Jewish.
The hardest experience to see children who were coming in, children in that state, children who needed heart transplants, and their parents, just to see the faces, the parents' faces, was just incredibly hard, and to see as a parent, just to know that, the Save a Heart organization doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter who you are, and they just take you in and they're just going to save a heart of a child.
One of the moments that really impacted me strongest was when we went to the Yemen Ord Youth Village. We met a number of the residents that are there. We had lunch, and one of the immigrants was a young teenager from Caracas, Venezuela. And what was interesting about her story was that she had come over on her own with her mother. Her dad and her brothers had stayed back in the country. But when she was telling me about her experience, it just really shocked me, because when I had heard about everything happening with Chavez over the years, I never thought for a moment there were Jews there. I always thought it was a deeply Catholic country, having friends who had grown up there. And to hear her talk about how really she is a refugee from Venezuela touched me and moved me and made me realize that the next step in my volunteer journey is really connecting with these Jewish communities that are out in the world and maybe are not getting enough press, maybe are not getting enough attention, maybe Jews that have the ability to do something for them simply aren't aware that there's a problem, that there's a need, that there's a community, even if it's a very, very small number of people. I really felt like that gave me a sign to kind of devote the next chapter in my volunteerism towards helping global Jewish communities in very small communities in countries where we're not expecting them to be.
If I had to pick out one thing that impacted me the most, it was our trip to Brothers for Life, where we got to meet Israeli combat veterans, and we heard about their stories. We were told a story about a veteran who was out somewhere with some folks and had a significant mental break, and his brothers at Brothers for Life were able to literally go where he was, pick up his car, deliver it back to his wife. He had very young children at home. I think his wife was even pregnant. And they were able to give his wife enough money, enough resources to pay the bills for a few months while he got the help he needed.
I also really enjoyed our time at Yemen Ord, walking around the village and understanding all of the hard work that they're doing for Jewish children in Israel and outside of Israel. And really just meeting all of the different speakers, going to the army base. All of these different aspects of Jewish history and Jewish culture reinforced my appreciation for our religion and our culture.
There are many challenges that are currently facing the U.S. Jewish community. Anti-Semitism is a growing concern within our communities, within our synagogues, and within our people.
Especially in today's times, there's so much already happening with social justice, and unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of discrimination in general. I think when it comes to Judaism and anti-Semitism, unfortunately, that's something that has been present for a long time.
I fear for my children going off to college, especially with the growing anti-Semitism within college campuses. And I fear for the entire communities having the same concerns. I think people around the country are choosing to be hateful towards people they don't even know.
As a mother of two young boys, both of my children have experienced a form of anti-Semitism in their young lives. So I do feel it is important for those of us who are Jewish leaders in our community to be the voices to speak up against hate, but also provide information on what it is our Jewish community provides, not just in our Jewish community, but to everyone. The connection to Judaism plays a small part. It's not just about a religion, it's about a culture and a way of life and a way of people who accept everyone. So I would certainly say that we need to continue to fight this battle and make our voices louder.
What really is the most critical thing, and I think something that I picked up on our trip, is just the importance of having the courage to have the conversations and being bold to call something when you see it. And oftentimes we might see an act or hear a comment and think, that sort of felt a little bit off, or was that anti-Semitism? And we just think about it and don't do anything about it. And I think we need to teach our children, and we need to model for our children and for ourselves being upfront about things. And when you hear something that seems anti-Semitic, even when you hear a criticism of Israel or something that is not accurate about a Jewish holiday, it's important for us to correct that thinking and to continue to be honest and upfront about what we're seeing and keep talking about it.
So I feel the best response from the Jewish leadership is to really work with other groups, other faith communities, to really come together, to work together, to educate, inform, in order to address anti-Semitism and racism and prejudice that comes in many forms. When one group is targeted, then it really is problematic for all groups and can get worse. So the best way to address it is really to collaborate and work with other communities.
Somehow get the clergy from all the faiths and have some type of creative programs where we can provide the opportunity for sharing of experiences and for people to to learn from each other.
It's very difficult to change an older generation's mind, but so much easier to shape the younger generation.
Target kids in schools to be able to do more in the schools, because kids learn from growing up how to treat other people, and I think that everyone can be stronger advocates of that we're all people.
As part of the Blank Fellowship, I learned a lot about how the Jewish Federation supports the various programs and supports our communities.
So I was very impressed to learn about the Federation movement and to hear about all the wonderful things they're doing, not only in Somerset County, but around the world.
The Federation movement, which I really didn't know much at all about before this program, so that was actually a big eye-opening thing to me, is really this force that's here in the States and abroad that really provides such wonderful services.
Programs like Jewish Family Services, the JCCs, and others. I actually had a chance to be involved with Jewish Federation a little bit and learn a little bit about Jewish Federation through Metro West several years ago, but was never able to get involved. Now to be able to be involved with Jewish Federation of Somerset County, which is where my home has actually been. I grew up about 20 minutes from here. Really helped me reconnect not just with my own synagogue, but with the larger Jewish community around us, and really understand what value the Federation brings to our area, especially in this sort of time of COVID crisis, knowing that programs like Jewish Family Services are out there to help folks in need means a lot to me. And I'm looking forward to being involved in the future and helping continue to support that.
More than anything that really struck me is the Federation response to the pandemic, and how they just jumped right in and keyed up their resources on providing food, providing counseling, making sure that people were, if they didn't get personal visits, they got phone calls, making sure that people were okay. And even though the federations themselves and everyone was working from home, nobody got forgotten.
And certainly in Somerset County, when COVID-19 hit, the Federation immediately jumped up and said, what can we do to help? And they started with a food drive and supporting other organizations like Jewish Family Services and the JCC, and really making themselves integral in the efforts to address the problems we were facing.
When I heard about the Holocaust survivors, that there was a special effort to make sure that they were taken care of, because the elderly, and there's such a key piece to our history.
This experience has really impacted me, seeing George and Harriet and hearing their life story. Their passion and love for the Jewish community has really inspired me.
This experience has impacted me because it has shown me the importance of strong Jewish leadership, especially during times of difficulty, such as we're experiencing now, both with the pandemic and the rise of anti-Semitism. And this experience has shown me that Jews stand up for what they believe in, and it's reinforced for me the importance of being involved in my community and abroad.
This experience overall has impacted me in that I feel a deeper connection to Judaism. I had a Hebrew school education. I was bat mitzvahed. I grew up in a secular home, learned the prayers, the customs, the rituals, but I don't know that I ever really felt a particular connection. This trip showed me, and this program showed me, that Judaism is more than a religion. What I saw in Israel showed me that Judaism is an identity. And it's everything from going to temple, to speaking Hebrew, to making memories with family, to learning and understanding and appreciating my history. It's seeing and appreciating the value of philanthropy and the need for Jews to help other Jews, which is one of the most important lessons I learned from this program as well.
This experience as a whole has impacted me tremendously. It has made me prioritize my commitment to the Jewish community, both locally and beyond. It has made me realize how important it is that I take my daughters to Israel, that my wife come to Israel with us, that my kids appreciate the history of the Jewish people, the resilience of the Jewish people. Israel was always a place, and Judaism was always a religion, and this trip really sort of married the two of those things together, and I'm looking forward to going back there again with my family and showing my kids how important the land of Israel is.
The experience as a whole has really renewed my interest in being involved in the Jewish community and has focused the ways that I plan on doing things. I would really love to take an active part, more than the passive part, in making sure that the youth, particularly in my synagogue, are more invested in the larger Jewish community. It is one thing for them to have some Jewish friends within the synagogue, but they need, just like I needed, to understand that there's a larger Jewish world out there, and that the connections that they can make through their Jewish identity and culture can be incorporated in everything that they do. No matter where they go, they're going to find solace in the fact that there are people who are their people, who are connected to them in ways that they might not even understand yet. It's important to me to make sure that they have that available to them, and that they can expand their world as I've expanded mine through this program.